That intro was made by Kurt Wonderly. These intros that I'm attaching to these reviews for a little bit were part of a 3DS contest that I did quite a few years ago, and they were the ones not chosen by the fans. Now once again I want to thank Kurt Wonderly for this intro. Now on to the review. Vera Blanc, Ghost in the Castle. As I've said more than once, I really enjoy detective games. And on the surface, this is a detective game. However, it's more of a story with a mystery inside it. You really won't be actively finding clues. The game is just gonna kind of guide you into what you're looking for. Now there are two ways to play this game, with and without minigames. I decided to try it both ways, and I think I like it better without. Only because the minigames kind of suck for the most part. I did enjoy the Hangman one, but you could easily cheat on that one if you just save before you start. The puzzle's always the same. The other one is just memorization and find the difference in the picture, which were just chores to do. Sometimes the minigames matter and you'll die if you fail it, and other times it doesn't. It's wildly inconsistent. The main problem is the find your difference in the picture minigame. There is so much bull. I can't even believe they made this part of the game. Normally in this sort of thing, you're looking for an interesting change to the picture, but in this title, you have to find the slightest change, even if it's a small pixel. The changes to the picture don't even make sense in the narrative. Why would an extra smudge on a photo change what's happening? Spoiler, it doesn't. It's just a really bad way to put more interactivity into the story. Speaking of the story, it is about a woman named Vera Blanc. She is dying and her wealthy father has tried everything to help her. She is eventually given a mysterious treatment that not only heals her, but also makes her smarter and gives her the ability to read minds. Now this is actually a very serious story at this point. When they decided to show how she was absorbing knowledge and becoming a genius, they threw it to this panel. And I started laughing so hard. The tone shift was just insane! She goes from dying in a bed to a bikini using computers to supercharge her brain. There is no reason for this shot. There's also a few more of these scenes in the game that really are only there to objectify her for no reason. I was kind of expecting a somewhat serious story, but when this panel came up I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. I love the comic panels they used. It did make the story more interesting. They did reuse panels a lot, but there was more unique comic panels than you might expect. Occasionally they'll have you choose from a small list of things to do, and sometimes you need to do them all, but not all the time. So you need to decide if you really don't want to do something before you pick the last option, which was usually the one that would finish up the action in the scene. There were quite a few technical issues. The music would often just stop. In fact, I would say most of the time there was no background music. Also, the hidden picture minigame would just stop working if I went into the menu. It wouldn't register any clicks, and I would just be soft locked. The only thing that would fix it is if I went back into the menu again, I found out. I hated the way the map was laid out. It was a chore to scroll through locations, since often the places were at odd angles on the map, and scrolling to it was not as easy as it should be. Now, the story wasn't very interesting. I liked the two main characters, and their flirtation was amusing at times, but I just wasn't invested in the overall story. I kind of kept going just to finish it up, and not because I wanted to see how it ended. Now, the game is about 2 to 3 hours long if you play it with minigames, and half of that if you don't. Vera Blanc, Ghost in the Castle, had an interesting concept of using comic panels to tell a story. However, the story wasn't very good. The minigames you could play also were not great. I would just skip this game. Even at the low price of $4.99, I just thought it wasn't worth it. It's too bad because I did like the characters, I just didn't like them in this mystery. So I would just skip it.